Here we go, here we go, here we go. I sound like an artist who's about to get on stage. It's another exciting episode of the AMATYMA series where I get to have conversations with various single, married, divorced and widowed men. We talk about anything and everything. As per usual, there aren't any topics on this podcast series, on this radio series. I'm excited to talk to this particular gentleman. We're having a little bit of a conversation before, getting into studio and just getting to know a little bit about him, which I didn't actually want to know much about him because obviously then I'd know too much. And the whole idea here is to obviously get to know our guests as we go and get to share our stories and journeys. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got this gentleman, MALUSI, SIBOTO. Shabkunjano Chami?
Shab.
Grand? Are you good?
Good.
Good to have you, and thanks for agreeing to be part of this AMATYMA series. No, so for those who don't know MALUSI, who is MALUSI SIBOTO and what do you do?
For those that don't know me, sports has been part of me, sports has been my life, sports have given me the role of life of understanding who I am and who I want to be outside of sports too, but I'm a cricket player that's currently playing for DP World Lions.
Nizwile, say that again, bro. I don't think they heard you.
Cricket player that's currently playing for DP World Lions.
Yes, sir.
Through sports, I've got to identify who I am.
Right.
And obviously, being a Xhosa man, doing initiation and understanding what MANHOOD is, and trying to balance that life with sports has given me an opportunity to really understand who I am. And there's some tough things that you go through in life.
Mm-hmm.
And the older you get to understand.
Sure.
There's some traumatic things you go through in life.
Yeah.
And some areas where you miss the opportunity of having both parents and understanding that dynamic
sure.
of life. And now being a dad, that's one of the roles I want to play for my son and actually understand that I'm going to be there for him no matter what it takes.
Sure.
So for those that don't know me, it's such a simple, speak my mind. And through all of that, sports has been the key now.
Sure. Are you a batsman? Are you a bowler?
I'm a bowling all-rounder.
Oh, bowling all-rounder. Shout out to you. So let's get straight into it. Siboto, that's Xhosa.
Yeah, Xhosa.
Zithini iduko zakho?
Yeah.
I'm also Xhosa.
Is it?
Yes. Mpa. Mkata. Umvulani umulashi. Abeza ngezikhukhu. You see, put two Xhosa men in one room. Only excellence comes out of that. So you are a father?
I'm a father. Currently, he's 19 months at the moment.
19 months.
Yeah.
Is it a boy or a girl?
Boy.
And are you married? Single? Divorced?
That's a tough one.
Okay.
It's a tough one.
Okay.
I'll keep it to myself.
You'll keep it to yourself. Okay, we have to respect that. I mean, the platform is designed for us to be able to have these frank and candid conversations, and we're not here to, put you on the spot. This is not that kind of show.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, we're just hanging out as MJITA. So, what's the name of your son?
Caleb Simpiwe.
Caleb Simpiwe. Simpiwe Sport. Okay, why did you? Was there a particular reason you gave him those names?
I gave him Simpiwe because that's my granddad's name.
Oh, really?
He was very popular in his rugby world. He played rugby.
Right.
So he was very popular.
Simpiwe Sport.
Something I wanted to give back to him.
Right.
Caleb is the name that came with his mom.
Right.
His mom is American.
Right.
You can't win there.
So is his first name Caleb?
Yeah.
Okay, then Simpiwe.
Yeah.
Interesting that you named him after your grandfather, right? I'm actually named after my grandfather, Usipho.
Oh, nice.
And there's pressure that comes with that because now you have to live up to what your grandfather used to be in community and in the world out there. So we are hoping that he will emulate your grandfather as he becomes a man himself.
Ooh, I think that's hard. I always say this at home, like, I don't want him to play cricket.
Right.
Because I think I'm going to lose a father and son relationship based on knowing what it takes to play the game professionally.
Sure.
And I think one of the reasons I named him after my dad, that's I've only understood from like 8 years old to 9 years old what it's like to have somebody as a father figure around you.
Right.
But until then, I don't know. I mean, I don't remember much about it, but I don't know what's like to have a dad. I
Sure.
don't know what's like to call someone and say, hey dad, I'm going through a tough time in my life, and I had to work that out myself. So giving him that name is just a memory that I had.
Sure.
And it's the only thing I can live up to, just
Sure.
giving back to him.
Is your dad still alive?
I have no idea.
So you've never met your dad?
Never,
You
never
don't.
met him.
And your mom?
My mom's still alive.
Your mom's still alive. Do you have siblings?
No.
So you're an only child,
Yeah.
and you've been raised by a single mom.
Mom and grand.
Mom and grand.
More
Sure.
of a
Grandmother.
child, yeah. I mean, I'm more of a grand boy.
Right.
My grandmom raised me, but I've always gravitated towards my grand.
Towards your granny.
Yeah.
She's still alive?
She passed
She
on
passed
about
on.
3 years ago.
Okay, so you were raised by two strong women, clearly. You know,
Yeah.
your mom and your grandmother. And what is that like to be raised by two women?
I think I became lost in my life when my grand passed on.
Mm.
I was going through a tough time. I was married before, and I went through a divorce. And just the idea of knowing that I can't call her anymore to talk about.
Sure.
I think she was my cricket coach without her knowing. Because I
Sure.
could always talk about situations.
And she understood the sport?
I'd like to think so. And when I invited her to one of the final games we played, she still thought I was in university. I gave her money once. Every time I come home and give her money, she's like, "Don't keep it for your books." I'm like, "I left there 4 years ago. What are you talking about?"
I'm in sport now.
Yeah, but I think being raised by her made me understand a bit about myself and who I am and where I come from,
Yeah.
and who I want to be when I face certain situations.
Sure.
And so that's why I think I was lost in my life a bit when she passed on, because I didn't have that anymore.
Mm.
And it's still difficult right now to
I can see.
identify certain areas about myself.
Mm.
And I think that's why sometimes as a man I fall short in certain areas where I should do it with my eyes closed, but I just fall short in the sense that I really haven't opened up myself to understand other places from other men, or go to places where we can talk as men and
Sure.
teach each other certain areas where we can be better. So I think I'm always gonna miss that void with her being gone, and also on the other hand, I think it's made me stronger and be able to face some tough situations
Sure.
sometimes, and learn how to be selfish and learn how to stand up for myself. But yeah, it's been hard. I think with my mom on the other hand, we've had to build a relationship. It's been tough. And obviously, sometimes as a child you want to understand certain things.
Yeah, you want answers as well, right?
Yeah, I'm not talking badly about my mom.
No, of course.
I love it, but I also want to understand why you weren't there for me in some areas. And
Mm.
now that I have a son, it's teaching me to forgive and
Sure.
understand through forgiveness is you actually forgiving and leaving it all to God.
Sure.
And let God handle that part, knowing that you forgive him. Because one day my son is also going to want to be close to my mom.
Absolutely.
And it's not going to be fair on him when I'm not close to my mom too.
True.
So I think having a son has also taught me to be patient in that area and just forgive. It's
Sure.
not about me.
I like that, and that's admirable of you, because you are saying that there is a process of healing that needs to take place, and forgiveness comes with healing.
Yeah.
You know, so when you were growing up, did you have any male figures around you? Any uncles? Any father figures? Whether it's a school teacher, you know, a coach. Were there any father figures that were quite present in your upbringing?
Yeah, I think I never really mentioned it to them, but my father figures were my cricket coaches growing up. The cricket stadium was like literally 5 minutes walk from my house.
Right.
I always looked up to all my coaches. Even now when I look at them, I still see them as
that father
those guys,
figure.
But I never say it to them. But when they see me, I still get confused about how they starstruck that the professional cricket player
Yeah.
now. But I've never really had that opportunity to call someone and say, play this role for me, or it's always been internal with me.
Sure.
It's always trying to gauge how can I work around this area by being close to certain somebody.
Sure. So outside the coaches, do you have any uncles or family
I do.
male figures that were involved in your upbringing?
No, not really. I do have uncles. I do have people also maybe tried to be there for me, but I never really open up that space. Because my gran was there at the time.
Is it because you want to protect your space as well?
No, I feel like my gran was there at the time. My gran has always been somebody that I always gravitated towards, like I said, but I never really opened up to my uncles or anybody, even if they tried it, but it's always been about me and my gran.
Sure. So your grandmother was quite a pivotal figure. Where was your grandfather? Had he passed on?
Yeah, he had passed on at the time.
Sure.
Like I said earlier on, I only understood having a dad until I was 8, 9.
Yeah.
I don't remember much from it, but that's a memory I have. But until then, I just gravitated towards my gran.
Towards your gran, yeah.
Started to speak a lot about a lot of things, and
yeah,
I think it just became hard to open up anywhere else. Being in a relationship became hard to. I've always saw myself at sports as it. Even when she tried to understand me, it's like no.
Yeah.
But the older you get to understand. It's not always about me.
Sure.
You have to open up. You're not alone.
Yeah.
So I think I learned the hard way in that department to just open up to people sometimes, give people a chance.
Sure. Are you angry at your dad, wherever he is?
Funny enough, I've never really thought about it ever until somebody mentioned it. Like, what would I think if he rocked up with kids? I think the hardest thing with that is I always answer and say I'm always going to focus on the kids because it's not their fault.
Sure, sure.
I'm always going to focus on these brothers or sisters that I have, if I do have, because I had a mom and a father at once. Now I've got a mom. So I think with him, I'll probably acknowledge the fact that he's taking the time to come and try and talk to me. I think it's not easy to do that as a man.
Yeah.
I think I'll respect him in that regard, but other than it, that's it.
What would be the first thing you ask him?
You're hitting it hard, Joe. You're hitting the spot. I like it.
I'm just having a conversation with you as a brother, and please understand this. I'm not here to put you. If you're uncomfortable, you're more than welcome to say, listen, dude, not comfortable with that, and we keep it moving.
Yeah, like I said, you're hitting the spot. I like it.
Yeah.
I've never really been asked this question in my life, and I think the most important thing is now that I'm a man and understand is certain things that maybe he was not given the opportunity, maybe he has, for me to just judge him. That would be hard, but the one thing I'd ask him is like, why didn't you even try?
Yeah.
Try at least, try to understand, search for me or something.
Sure. That's going to be a tough question for him to answer because right now we don't know what the reasons are.
Yeah.
We don't know what's stopped him from reaching out, and let's hope that maybe one day he will see this podcast and reach out, because at the end of the day, you know, we all need to have closure in certain parts of our lives and be able to move on, right? How are you raising your son with all these challenges that you've been through and growing up and being raised by your grandmother? Where are you drawing inspiration from in terms of raising your son? What's your blueprint? What are you using to raise your son?
Just before I answer that, like something just hit me now. What you said, like I don't think we all need closure.
Okay.
Because closure can be the biggest screw up also.
And bring the biggest pain as well.
Yeah. Once you have closure, you realize I've wasted 20 years of my life being mad at this person
for nothing,
trying to understand what they're going through. I think closure can also be a damage.
Yeah.
As much as it can be success for somebody else. I think it just depends where you are in a stage in their life about closure. But that's just my view of it.
Sure.
And I think with my son, I just want to understand him for who he is.
Yeah.
I just want to be there for him where I can. But like I said earlier on to you, I want to ask you a question.
Sure,
Now
go
that
for
you
it.
brought it up.
Now he's turning the tables around
Yeah,
on me.
I do. I think sometimes as fathers, you work really hard. You know, you work really hard to become creative, to try
Sure.
and set the standard for yourself and your kids. But there's one thing we never ever talk about. I don't care how famous you are, how rich you are. Sometimes we, as black people, never really talk about racism to our kids.
Sure.
So, for me, as one thing I want to teach my son is not to be shocked when someone is racist to you.
Yeah.
And how do you teach him that? Because until, even if I become 70 or 80, we're still going to go through racism.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now as fathers, how do you teach your kids to not be shocked and understand you still have goals and vision or dreams that you want to achieve?
Sure. That is actually a tough one, because sometimes racism is hidden with undertones of bullying. You know, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes kids bully each other at school, and we say it's bullying, but it's actually racism. If you dig deeper into the issue, and it starts at home. No one is born a racist.
Yeah.
Just as much as no one is born a rapist. Where do you learn this terrible, toxic behavior of being racist? And you know, it's I don't even know what I would say to my kids. Ronnie, you've got kids?
No, not yet.
You see, I can't
I think where I'm stuck the most is like, I'm not saying you should see the difference between racist. I'm not saying that.
Sure.
Just love everybody.
Sure.
But what I'm saying is that sometimes you are going to go through that.
You're gonna encounter it,
But now, how do I make him understand that?
and how to respond to that.
Yeah, because we all went through it in our lives.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and it's still going to be there. But how do I make him understand, like, it's just blow it in the wind? I'm not saying accept it,
Sure.
but blow it in the wind and understand you still have a journey, you got a life, you got a mom and a dad that loves you.
Yeah.
But these are the things you're going to go through. How do I make him understand that it's okay if somebody says a certain thing?
When it's really not.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm going to stand up for myself.
Sure.
And through standing up for myself, there's also consequences that come with it.
True.
But how do I make him understand and not be surprised when it happens? Because we still get surprised.
We
shouldn't.
still you're right.
We shouldn't let that hurt us anymore.
Yeah, we
I'm not
shouldn't.
saying it's okay, but
Mm.
but if somebody's racist to me right now, it still hurts. Why?
Yeah.
Why? What do I need to do to make sure that he doesn't get hurt,
Sure.
but he understands that it's there? Because those are one of the things that can ruin the day,
It can
can
mess up your entire
you
week.
can lose a deal from that.
Absolutely.
But how do I make him understand like it's there, but don't be shocked when it happens?
So is it a case of understanding and accepting certain things and tolerating certain things, but also not being okay with it? You know, I mean, at what age do you have that conversation with your son? I mean, at what age do you sit him down to say, listen, there is something called racism, and this is what racism looks like, or this is what racism sounds like? Because sometimes racism is said in words, you know, undertone.
Yeah, I think also, I think what's important not playing victim of it.
Sure.
Because when you play a victim of it, you don't grow.
Yeah.
You accept it. You accept. And I think it's time that we teach kids the things that we were not taught.
Absolutely.
And it's important to do it.
Sure.
And obviously you want them to experience some things organically.
Yeah,
sometimes,
by themselves,
Not
yeah.
just us just
Spoon feed them.
saying one, two. No, it's got to come from them. But
Yeah.
there's just certain things that
Just
they're
to
going to
prepare
come
them.
and ask you as a father too.
Sure.
And that's the first thing that comes into the mind. And I think that's the one part of my life I want him to understand. And if he understands that, I'll be okay with anything else.
Sure. Were you exposed to a lot of racism in your upbringing? I have to ask the question.
I now that I'm older, I
Yeah.
don't see it as racism. But yeah, I was. But I understand where it came from. I understand, and I'm not making an excuse for it. I understand where it came from, and I understand how I needed to align myself so that my job doesn't get on the line, or I don't let that bother me.
Sure.
But yeah, I have.
Did it require you to work twice as hard as your white counterparts?
Of course.
Sure.
Because I think I'm the person that I am right now because of that.
Sure.
I'll give you an example. Like, I was born in Kwalanga.
I was going to ask, which guys are you from? Because I was about to get there to say, Ukulele will be grand.
Yeah, I was born in Kwalanga Township.
Yeah.
And I moved from Kwalanga to Potchefstroom.
Potchefstroom?
Come on, bro. I moved
Potchefstroom?
to Potchefstroom.
Why? Who was there?
Yeah, for hockey.
Oh, for hockey, okay.
I moved to Potchefstroom, hardcore Afrikaans.
Sure.
So, that just tells you everything.
Yo.
But I'm so grateful I went through that, because it made me understand a lot about Afrikaans culture.
Sure.
It made me understand a lot about myself.
Yeah.
And who I want to be through all this mess. And sometimes I got to understand, like, some Afrikaans people are more real than English people.
Yeah.
And in that case is that here's a man that's spent all his life in the farm.
Yeah.
That's all he knows.
Yeah.
Comes to varsity, plays hockey with you. Now he has to learn how to be friends with me.
Yeah.
And as we become friends, we go to hockey tours, we drink together. He actually understands, shit, I've spent all my life being closed off. Now that I understand, it's like, wow.
Now I'm exposed.
Actually not a bad person.
Sure.
So I think, how do I, like, I'm going back to that, how do I make my son actually not go through that direction? But it's not, I can't control that.
It's his journey, right?
Yeah.
And he has to experience it himself.
Yeah.
He has to go through his own pains. All you can do is protect and guide, and show love and show care and guidance. What type of father are you?
I think at the moment I'm still tough. I hate him at 19 years. I mean, at 19 months I still smack him.
Why?
Because I want him to know that he's wrong.
But how does smacking fix the problem?
Like I said, like you said, like what type of a dad I want to be. I want to be the dad that when I say no, it's no.
Sure.
I'm not saying no because I don't love you. I'm saying no. And I want you to understand I'm saying no.
Sure.
And I don't know what's hitting gonna fix, but it's working for me right now.
But where do you take that from? Did your grandmother hit you when you were growing up?
No.
So where do you take that from?
It's just something that happened, I guess, and I'm going with it.
Okay. And the mother's okay with that?
No.
Okay.
She's not. I want to just tell her, let me be the dad the way I want to be.
But the problem with that is that when is that going to stop? At which point are you going to realize that maybe it's actually not working? It's a temporary solution to a problem that could be probably resolved over time if you just did it differently.
I still think old school works.
Corporal punishment?
No.
Okay. Because we are from that era. Hey, we used to get trapped, man.
I agree with you.
Yeah? And to be honest with you, when I reflect back on my childhood, the rate at which we used to get clapped, not only by my dad, but the neighbor next door and whoever else, it didn't really solve the problem.
Your parents were okay with it too.
Because I got so used to being clapped that I knew what to do. It was not painful anymore for me. You know, it got to a point that they even had to upgrade from the belt to a shambok. Because I was like, what are you doing now? I mean, I'm so used to the pain.
Yeah.
It's not a resolve though. It doesn't fix the problem.
So the thing is like, yeah, I hit him, but I don't hit him in every situation. I don't hit him every time I say no. I feel like there's a time and a place where you say no, he knows it's wrong. At 19 months, he knows it's wrong. He carries on doing it to test you. That's when I hit him. When I say no, and I know like he sees he doesn't understand that I let it go.
Yeah.
But when he knows it's wrong, he still does it. That's when I hit him.
And after that, does he stop?
Sometimes.
Can you see that it's not working? It's not working. It's clearly not working. Because if it was working, I think from the first moment of you hitting him, he would have learned to never do those things because he knows that he's going to get it, right?
I think it's more ego from my side also. Like it's
Okay.
ego of, I'm telling you to stop, you don't listen.
Right.
And it's that thing of, I'm your dad.
Yeah, and you're going to
From your
listen.
father, listen to me. And
Right.
obviously not understanding that he's 19 months. So.
Sure.
So I think this is my learning curve, also the direction I'm going with. I think
Sure.
as he gets older, I'm also going to understand.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna challenge you and say I think you should stop
Yeah. Okay.
immediately, especially because you have no point of reference of where you got it from.
yeah.
So if it was a case of maybe your grandmother used to do that to you, and now you're passing it on to him because of some childhood trauma or whatever, then I'd say, you know what, you need to seek professional help around that.
Yeah.
But the fact that you don't even know where you got it from and you're still doing it, I think as a father myself, I would say it needs to stop.
I think from a sports
Tough love?
minded. Yeah.
Is it,
sports
is
minded
it your way of
sense that
showing tough love?
does that make me, again, it's ego.
Sure.
Does it make me like, I'm letting it slide, I'm letting it slide, I'm letting it slide, I'm letting it slide. When is it going to stop? But I'm also forgetting that he's 19.
He's a child.
Yeah.
He's a baby.
He's still working out life when he's old.
He's a baby. He hasn't figured anything out yet. And I also think being a sportsman comes with a lot of its own challenges.
Yeah.
Because you are target driven. You have to win. You have to get things done. You know, when you put something to it, you want the results.
Yeah.
And when you don't get the results of you're reprimanding him, you almost feel like you're failing in your attempt to. But I still stand by this to say I think you should stop. I think
It'll
you should
take
stop.
time. It'll take time. I'll get there eventually. I like the idea.
Yeah.
I'm not against your idea, but it will take. I'm not gonna say yeah, but you're not gonna be there. But
Sure.
you know what I mean? But
Sure.
it will take time.
Sure.
It will take time. I think I'm also understanding as time goes.
Sure.
That
What would you do if one day your son came and he said to you that he's gay?
that's a conversation we have every day at home.
Okay.
And I think
When you say we, your family unit.
yeah.
Okay.
I think times have changed.
Sure.
You have to love everyone for who they are.
Sure.
And if he comes to me and he tells me that, great, I love you still.
So the love doesn't change
No,
just
it
because
doesn't
your
change.
status.
It's gonna be difficult to accept. But at the end of the day, that's still my son.
Sure.
That it's never ever gonna change. It's still
Yeah.
gonna be my son.
Yeah.
So I won't be shocked if he tells me that, because it's something that I've prepared in my mind, and the love is not gonna change at
Sure.
all.
So why would it be difficult? Is it difficult because of how you were raised and your upbringing, or why would it be difficult for you to hear such news from your son?
Because I'm still old school.
Right.
I
That's
still
why.
believe-
That's I'm
Yeah,
going there.
I still believe a man should be a man and a woman should be a woman,
Sure.
and that's not the case anymore. Times have changed, and
Of course.
and I think one of the things we don't understand, like this is me not coming from a perspective of
Sure.
adjusting to.
Sure.
It's hard being gay. Being gay is difficult, and when you come out and say you're gay, it's brave.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's places you can't go to, and so that's me understanding. That's me understanding that area of saying that I love him anyway, because I know what it takes. Well, I've never been gay, but I'm saying like I know what it takes to come out and say this is me.
Sure.
Because you're spending a lot of time with us as guys, and all of a sudden, hey guys, I'm gay. That takes a lot of braveness.
Yeah. Courage.
Yeah, courage to actually come to front of your friends and say, I'm not who you guys think I am. It's tough. It's not easy to do that.
Yeah.
So I think from that perspective, I've got to understand that he's still going to be my boy.
Yeah.
No matter what.
No matter what. Sure. Can you believe that the time is gone?
Yeah.
It's and we haven't even scratched the surface. I do feel that you need to come back. I do feel that there's a lot of things that I didn't even tap into, and of course we are cognizant of the fact that we have to respect people's sensitivity and privacy and all those things. But as a last parting shot before I let you go, what is your greatest wish for your son? What do you wish for your son? So outside the usual wishes that most parents have, yes, we want our sons to graduate, get degrees, get a good job or run a great business, be successful, right?
Yeah.
But outside the material worldly things, what is your greatest wish for your son? What is the one thing that you want him to carry in your absence when you're gone?
I want him to love himself no matter what. Just never degrade his value because of the situation that he's in at that moment. I just want him to love himself all the time, regardless of where he is in his life.
Sure. MALUSI, thank you, my brother. Thank you for opening yourself up. And I can tell you're a very emotional person.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, and the whole premise of this platform is to really get men to talk about the things that we never get comfortable to talk about. AMATYMA, especially a lot of us from Emakasi and townships, are not used to the culture of talking, to the culture of letting our emotions out. I mean, I was saying to the guys the other day that the first time I ever told my dad that I love him was when I was 42. Imagine that. That's the first time, and you've never even had that opportunity. So we're all dealing with different challenges as men, and we need to talk about these challenges in the hope of coming up with solutions. Yeah. Thank you, my brother.
Thanks to you.
Thanks so much. Tara. Another great episode of AMATYMA series in partnership with PRAAT Radio. Sivale City. Danko.